Welcome back to another explainer. Right, let's dive straight in by picturing a scenario. Imagine a very stressed out businessman. He is sitting at his desk, staring at a financial report that proudly claims his company just had its best year ever. The net profit is absolutely massive. He's thrilled. But then his accountant walks in and drops a bomb. They can't make payroll tomorrow. The bank account is completely empty. Our businessman is totally confused, staring at this massive profit on paper, yet inexplicably holding on to a zero balance in the bank.
You can practically hear his panicked question, right? We made a huge profit, so why are we broke? It is a terrifying dilemma for literally any business owner. How on earth can you be so rich on paper, but so poor in reality? Well, this perfectly sets up our core mystery for today's explainer. Profitability absolutely does not automatically equal liquidity. To crack this case, we're bringing in an expert businesswoman to act as our financial detective, and here is her exact roadmap to solve this. We'll cover the cash flow mystery, why track cash flows, the 3 cash activities, building the statement, working notes, and finally the limits of cash flow. Let's start with part 1, the cash flow mystery. So, according to accounting standard IND AS 7, a cash flow statement strictly tracks the physical movement of cash and cash equivalents over a specific period. Think of it as a financial truth serum for the business. It completely ignores all the non-cash paperwork. It only cares about where the actual cash came from, those are your inflows, and where the actual cash went, your outflows. It explains exactly why the bank balance changed from last year to this year. Moving on to part 2, why track cash flows?
Here is where we separate the illusion of paper profit from the harsh reality of liquidity. You see, the income statement measures profitability on an accrual basis. That means you get to record a massive sale the second a contract is signed, even if the client hasn't paid you a single dime yet. But the cash flow statement, it measures real liquidity. It shows the actual cash you have in hand right now. And the absolutely crucial point here is that you cannot pay your suppliers, your taxes, or your employees with just a high net income. You need liquid cash. Our expert businesswoman uses these core objectives to help the businessman actually budget effectively, rather than just guessing. Tracking this discloses the actual movement of cash and measures your short-term liquidity. It helps management keep an optimal balance, so you avoid a nightmare shortage where you can't pay bills, or conversely, having a pile of excess cash just sitting idle when it could be invested. It also helps forecast future cash needs and guides huge decisions, like whether you need to take out a loan or if you can afford to pay out dividends.
Okay, part 3, the 3 cash activities.
Literally every single cash movement falls into one of 3 neat buckets. Let's break this down using a simple analogy. Think of your business as a car. Operating activities are like running the car engine. It's your day-to-day revenue-generating operations. Inflows are cash sales, outflows are paying suppliers and salaries. Next, investing activities are like buying a totally new car or upgrading the tires. It's all about long-term assets. Outflows are purchasing machinery or land, while inflows are selling off those fixed assets. And finally, financing activities. This is like getting the auto loan to afford the car in the first place. Inflows are issuing shares or taking out loans, and outflows are repaying those loans or paying dividends.
Let's get into part 4, building the statement.
So, how does our expert actually calculate this to find the missing cash? Well, you kind of have to work backward. It's a logical 4-step flow. Step 1, start with the net profit from the income statement. Step 2, adjust for non-cash and non-operating items. Step 3, adjust for changes in working capital. And step 4, calculate the investing and financing flows separately. Let's look at those operating adjustments. Our businessman's profit was essentially drowning in non-cash paperwork. Take depreciation, for example. It lowers your net profit on paper, but you didn't exactly write a check to depreciation this year, did you? So to find the real cash, we have to add back those non-cash expenses. We also add back provisions for taxes and dividends. On the flip side, if you made a profit selling an asset, you actually deduct it here because that cash belongs in the investing section, not operating. Finally, you adjust for changes in working capital to get your true cash generated from operations. Once operations are sorted, we check out investing and financing. Buying new property, plant, and equipment, or PPE, drains your cash in the investing section. Selling investments? That brings cash in. Meanwhile, over in financing, issuing equity shares injects a bunch of cash into the business, while paying interest or redeeming shares drains it right back out. And here is the absolute magic formula where everything just perfectly balances out. When you add up the net cash flows from operating, investing, and financing activities, A plus B plus C, and then add that to your opening cash balance at the start of the year, it should exactly equal your closing cash balance. Boom! It completely solves the primary mystery of where every single cent went.
Part 5. Working Notes and Adjustments.
Now, sometimes to find hidden cash movements, you have to do a little accounting detective work under the hood. Take the fixed asset account. You can't just glance at the balance sheet. You have to map out the opening balance, add purchases, subtract depreciation, and factor in the profit or loss on sales to finally reveal the actual bank figures. That's the real cash that went out for a purchase or came in from a sale.
And the exact same detective work applies to taxes. We have to separate the tax provision sitting in the P&L, which is really just an educated guess, from the actual cash you paid out of the bank. Take the opening balance, add the current year's provision, deduct the closing balance, and what's left is the actual cash paid to the government, which sits nicely in our operating cash outflows.
Finally, Part 6. Limits of cash flow. Now for the plot twist. As amazing as the cash flow statement is, our expert has to remind the businessman about a few major blind spots. First, it completely ignores non-cash transactions like issuing bonus shares. Second, it definitely cannot replace the income statement. Having high cash doesn't automatically mean high profits. You could just be sitting on a massive loan you just took out. It's also historical, so it doesn't perfectly predict the future. And maybe most importantly, your cash position can be easily manipulated just by postponing a few bills or rushing collections. So it's not a perfect standalone indicator of health. So the ultimate takeaway is right here. Cash flow data should be analyzed along with other financial statements for any meaningful conclusions. The cash flow statement is fantastic, but it's just one tool in the toolbox. True financial clarity only comes when you look at the profit and loss account, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement all together. You need the whole picture. So, having decoded the mystery of the missing money, our businessman finally gets it. He knows exactly where the cash came from and where it went. Which leaves us with a final provocative question for you to ponder. Are you managing an illusion of profit, or are you mastering the reality of your cash? Think about that the next time you look at a financial report. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.